that's the next evolution with goalies, to maybe do a light version of what Niall Morgan and Rory Beggan did in the Ulster football final. I think you're going to have to become a very mobile keeper now, who might even be slightly getting involved in the play. I'm thinking Owen Murphy is the best equipped to do that next year.
When will it happen? When that will happen, and is happening now? When will, like, somebody be caught off their line in a big game, or something happen where they end up with egg on their face, or a bad clearance from out in the corner and the ball is hitting into an empty net, and owl fellas everywhere will throw their hats they'll throw their hats at the floor in disgust?
Well, I think it has to happen sooner rather than later, and you're probably just going to have to accept that there's an element of a gamble to this, and it might just be an absolute disaster. Do you know what? I'm going to bring it up on screen here. The reason that I think that evolution is going to have to happen in hurling. So I haven't necessarily prepared doing this, but we'll go for it and see what happens. So let's say a ball is coming in from here, okay, right? And you've got the full back line there in green, and you've got the inside forwards like this, and the half forward line, the half back line is way out here, as was the case when Cork were playing Limerick. And if a ball is coming all the way in now, I haven't fully prepared all of this to people, as you know, but let's say a ball is coming in like this, and there's nothing but space in there, and you have a goalkeeper standing back here doing nothing. And we saw the Cork half back line were pushed out. They did what they were told. They came all the way out. Like, you've got 3-on-3 back here. So it was Niall O'Leary, it was Robert Downey, and it was Sean O'Donoghue. That sort of a setup. Like, at what stage do you start thinking, we can't leave those lads with 40 yards in front of them? Maybe we've got to get the goalkeeper. And when I play full back, I always tell the goalkeeper, stand 15 yards out, because I want you to just get in the eye line of the corner forward there, so he thinks that I might start pushing for possession. Like, it's easier said than done, what I'm saying here, because the amount of space on a hurling pitch is absolutely huge. And unlike Gaelic football, the ball can travel 40 yards in a second. And if a ball goes in there and the goalie's off the line, a lad can just turn and knock it in, because it just travels that far. But I think at some point it's going to get to a stage here where goalies are pushing out, maybe even 21 yards out, maybe even slightly further, just with the notion of clogging up the running lanes. You know the way Jason Sherlock did that for Dublin there for a few years, and people were getting a little bit annoyed with it. And then obviously the Mayor Furnace were, stopped going out on the field, just so there are those kicking lanes for goalkeepers. But I do think that even if they don't get involved in the play, that goalkeepers are going to have to come out and become a distraction, just so there isn't all that open space, maybe to block an old run. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get in your way there, Seamus Flanagan, or something like that. Because you can't really have 15 players on the field, leave the 3 lads at the back thrown to the wolves, and just have a goalkeeper standing there watching it. At some stage, he's going to have to get involved. And that's why I mentioned Owen Murphy. He's played outfield both for Glenmore and in college. He could be able to do it. The question is, number one, do you agree with that sort of evolution? And number two, can you see any other goalkeepers being capable of it?
Well, it's definitely something that has been slowly happening over the last couple of years. Now Nicky Quaid doesn't do it generally. Yeah. He'd be an option for a hand pass back maybe or something like that, but he wouldn't be sweeping around. I suppose a lot of it is what are the strengths of the goalkeeper that you have? And I love the fact that Tyrone have recognised that one of Niall Morgan's strengths is that he can be really comfortable on the ball out the field, that he can contest with a forward for a ball if he has to. Same with Rory Beggan. Cody probably realises that Owen Murphy is not being allowed to express himself enough unless he's doing what he's doing, sweeping across the full back line. So I don't think you'll see it everywhere, but I think where the personnel suits that type of system, I think you will see it. And it does make sense. No more than you were saying there about clogging up space, no more than, the full forward or corner forward having their hands up, the hurl up, moving across the line. It's just, you're making someone think that the space is not there. Same with a keeper could do a similar function at the back.
Yeah, because there are times when you look up as, when you've played in the half back line, you look up and if you see space, you're thinking, brilliant, here's where I can pop the ball. And if you had a goalkeeper who had a little bit of electric pace, and some of them do, you could imagine Patrick Collins, he looks like a quick enough player when he comes out with the ball, he looks really comfortable. Maybe physically he's not quite as big as a lot of the inter-county outfield players that you might see. He can obviously add a few stone of muscle onto him. But I just think it'd be very interesting because full back lines can't continue to have that done to them. Like, it's grand having a sweeper and all that, but he can be bypassed by all the good teams these days. So maybe it's like, it's just trying to find another way to maximize what you have out there. But like you said earlier, like at some point it will go disastrously wrong. It nearly went wrong for Rory Began, only for he got back unbelievably well. But like Owen Cahill, for example, your own clubmate, he plays out the field for Offaly. But could you see him potentially being able to do that if he was asked?
He'd kill me if I put him back in the goals. They always say that he's going to be the next borough goalkeeper, and he takes the head off me. But without a doubt, someone like him would definitely be able to do it, because like he would be and then he would be Offaly's as well. They're probably the most comfortable player on the ball outfield. So like if he was playing that role, you're maximizing him as a goalkeeper, but also as an outfield player. You're saying, listen, you can go to the 45 as well. Like, lads can find you, we can spray a ball over to the far side, and you can take shots from far out. And I just think it would pose a really interesting conundrum for teams, particularly the attack of other teams. They're going to have to push up to make sure to stop this from happening. And then all of a sudden the game gets even more interesting, and it gets more kamikaze style almost, as in there's more chance of real exciting kind of things happening. And I think it's if you have the right personnel, I definitely think it's something that could work. It's not something that you're going to see, like, it's not just going to be in the championship next year, but there's already been, like, Alan Nolan scored a point from play, didn't he, in last year's championship? Stephen O'Keefe got one, I think, the year before. Those are things that we never would have seen before. So they are slowly happening. Again, the caveat is whether you have the right person to do it. And that's why you're probably seeing a lot of outfield players going back to the goals as well. And let's just say, like, someone like, for example, Noel McGrath. When Noel McGrath finishes with Tipperary, like, he could do something like that with Lockmore for years, even if his legs were gone to some extent, just because he's so clever, and you'll be able to find him and know that if you hit him the ball even anywhere around the 45, or he picks up the ball and sweeps in the 45, he can hurt you from that far back. So yeah, I think if you have the right person, it could definitely something that could work.
Yeah, I remember, like, goalkeepers that have played with me in the last year or two, I just said to them, come out just right until, like, the opposition, the person who's going to deliver the ball, if they're around their own 65 or midfield and you can see they're looking and they've spotted you, that's when you hair back. But I want you out 14 yards up until that point. And it definitely does help, because as a full back, you often get just so isolated. And it's so difficult when you know you have to stand goal side. So you're more or less, you know, behind the full forward's shoulder on one side or the other, depending on which way the goals is. But it's just nothing but, like, he's got the low ball in front of him, he's got the low ball to the left, he's got the low ball to the right. You're kind of done every which way. The only one he probably doesn't want in that situation is the one hanging up high, because then, like, as a full back, you can try to just spoil and let it through to the goalkeeper. But you do have to find ways to do it. And even, like, looking at the Gaelic football matches the last couple of weekends, watching Shane Ryan play out on his own 65 as Tyrone taking the kick out the other end. And I remember Owen Murphy doing this for Kilkenny against Cork a couple of years ago. He was standing out not far off the 45 to block up those running lanes, because you know the way Cork like to hit it into grass for the puck out. So yeah, I just think it's coming.
As well as that, Shane, you know, having the keeper, you know, in a relative close proximity to you allows you to go gung ho for a ball as well. It's all it's like having a sweeper. Like, really, that's it. Like, it allows you to go toe to toe with your man, and you're less kind of cautious maybe about committing yourself. If you know, at least if the ball breaks behind, there's going to be someone there, i.e. your keeper.
If you enjoyed this piece of content, please follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, which helps the channel grow. And if you want audio podcasts, go to patreon.com/ourgame.